What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with some Raid Shadow Legends, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the newer epic champions that has been added to the game, Scabrius, who is a Skinwalker. He's part of the current fusion going on right now, and one of the epics that I was really interested in keeping. So originally I was planning on not doing this fusion, but my opinion has changed a little bit on that. I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video, but I wanted to kind of just go over, give him a quick overview and where I thought he would be pretty good. And you can see here, his skill set basically has poison on the A1. For 2 turns, it is the big 5% poison. He has a leech on the A2, and then he has the A3 that does a weaken. Also gives him an increased attack buff, and then he does have a passive that allows him to do 20% more damage when attacking enemies under poison debuffs. So when this guy first came out, I was thinking clan boss immediately. That's what came to mind. And the thing is, too, I pulled this guy on my free-to-play account and also finished him on the Fusion there. So I have 2 copies of him on the free-to-play. So as you guys know, resources are a little bit more scarce on the free-to-play account, and I have a clan boss team that's kind of constantly undergoing improvement there. And I was thinking, I wonder if this guy could come in and maybe replace Frozen Banshee as my primary poisoner, especially since he can do the additional damage there for people that are under poison debuff. So that's an interesting passive he had. It was really attractive to me, and seeing also he has poison on A1. It's usually a bit more consistent than Frozen Banshee's poison depending on how your run is going. So I thought what I would do is I would build one out on my main account since I wasn't planning on finishing the fusion, and I would try him out in Clan Boss to see if he's any good. Now, where I was kind of disappointed with him was on Ultra Nightmare. I put him in my Bat Eater composition. I wanted to see how he would perform there, and I was expecting him to do pretty good. Unfortunately, I'll throw some screenshots up here so you can see a couple of the runs that I did with him. I still managed to get a 2-key on Ultra Nightmare with him into the composition, but it was only doing a little bit over 40 million damage, which normally when I run Draco, even not in the best gear, I'm right around 62 to 70 depending on the affinity, because Draco is just so strong with the decreased defense and the weaken on 1 ability. This guy unfortunately only has the weaken. He does not have the decreased defense, so you will lose that if you try to run him in the Bat Eater comp. But I thought that the 20% extra damage with poison would actually make up for that in some way, but it really did not. So was not very happy with the way he worked in Ultra Nightmare, and I don't think he's going to be a viable poisoner to use at that level unless you just have like the most insane gear on your account. So I thought we would back down to Nightmare tonight. We're going to actually take him in there, run a key, and see how he does. I've got him basically in the standard lifesteal setup here. Unfortunately, the gear is not all rolled up. I've been working on so many champions, and I actually was swapping gear around on him so many times to make this video that I blew through several million silver. I had to roll up some gear as well. And he's basically kind of just set up to run a Nightmare with the team that I run, very similar on my free-to-play account. It's basically double ally protect. You'll see in a minute. It's Skull Crusher. Jareg, we've got Aox for debuff extension, and we have Rosin for decreased defense and weaken. That's kind of just my standard test team that I use here on my main account that I used to run on Nightmare. Once I built my Bat Eater comp, I just stopped using that team. Never really upgraded their gear or anything. So they're kind of a nice little team that kind of fits in for someone who would be like mid-game working into the late game, where they have the gear and they could be able to 2-key Nightmare boss pretty easily. So we're going to slot him in as the primary poisoner there and see how he does. He'll be paired up with Aox, so they'll both have some poisons going out. But you can see here, unfortunately, like I said, gear is not amazing. We didn't get to roll it up all the way, but we did hit at least 100% crit rate, and we got his accuracy up to a point where he should not have any problems landing his poison. We'll take a quick look here at his total stats. Almost 30k health, which will go up when we get Jareg's HP aura. We hit right about 3,000 defense. I was trying to get a little higher than that, but that's not bad. 183 speed could be higher, but we'll take what we can get without having to roll too much more gear. Crit rate again, a little too much there, but this was the build that I was able to get with him, so we're going to go with it. And we got 244 accuracy, which should be plenty for Nightmare. His masteries are finished, so you can kind of see what we're working with there. And I did actually max out his skills. So we got 5 books in the A3, another 5 into the A2, and then 4 on the A1. So I put 14 books in him, thankfully during clan versus clan, so at least got those points, but I think I'm going to wind up really regretting that at the end of the day. So we'll see how this goes. We're going to jump into the clan boss here. First off, let me stop at the Great Hall. I always like to show you guys the Great Hall so you can kind of get an idea of where I am with this. So he's magic, so he's going to get the bonuses from magic. You see here we don't have HP defense all that great. We need to work on a lot of this stuff. I've mainly been focusing on accuracy and a lot of stuff for my void champions, for arena and some other areas. Also, we have the 2 man-eaters and painkeeper in the clan boss team, so we like to, we wanted to build all that stuff up so they could get a little bit of extra damage there. But it's always a work in progress. We're doing pretty good with it. We got a little bit of gold here and there. We're going to try to build up to a couple more 10s, but I need to get these 4s and 5s at least up to 6 and 7. So still a lot of work there, but just to kind of give you guys an idea, you're going to see how that's going to affect the champions that we're going to be using for this run. So let's jump in here real quick, and we're going to be going on Nightmare. Now, unfortunately, it is negative affinity today. It is a Force Nightmare boss, so that he is a magic champion. That's going to hurt him a little bit. However, you can see that we actually already did, when we were doing our testing earlier, we're able to 2-key even using Frozen Banshee. So Frozen Banshee is going to be someone we're going to be comparing him against, because she's kind of just like this amazing rare champion that you could use all the way up into Night. You can see people in my clan are definitely using her in Nightmare boss. She's an incredibly strong poisoner for a rare champion. You can see a couple teams. Yeah, she's being used pretty much all over the place here. I'm not real sure if anybody's using her in Ultra Nightmare. Yep, okay, there you go. So we got a couple of her in Ultra Nightmare as well, with some pretty strong keys here. Some people 2-keying Ultra Nightmare with Frozen Banshee. Still in the composition. So she's one of the better poison champions in the game, so I want to kind of compare him to her. I'm going to put up 2 screenshots now. You'll be able to see the run with Frozen Banshee that we did, and you'll also be able to see a run I did with Occult Brawler, who a lot of people have kind of forgot about, but he's actually still a very strong poison champion, especially if you are trying to get a team together to 2-key the Nightmare clan boss. He can also be used in Ultra Nightmare. But you can see there, even with it being negative affinity for Frozen Banshee, she still almost kept up with the Occult Brawler. I believe he did about 12, 13 million, and she was over 10 million. So we're going to see if Scabrius can keep up with her, because that'll be a good comparison with them both being magic affinity against the Force clan boss, and with him getting a bit more consistency placing that poison on his A1. So we're going to see what happens here. If we can find him, there he is. So you can see, like I said, standard clan boss that I kind of test with on Nightmare especially is just we go in here with our double ally protection team with counterattack with Skull Crusher. Aox for our debuff extension. He's got also provides poison, a little bit of healing. Got Rosin for decreased defense, weaken, and he hits pretty good too. Also good, obviously free to play champion. A lot of people will have access to, so it's kind of more relatable. And then we're going to have Scabrius in here as our poisoner and damage dealer. We're going to throw it on auto. We're just going to let it go, and we'll see what happens here. Get this started. And we'll kind of see what his abilities look like. You can see there, he does put out that weaken. We're looking for him to put some poisons out so we can get started on getting a little bit of extra damage. Now, the one thing is when I ran him on Ultra Nightmare, I actually did him on one run with a poison set, and it didn't really seem to help much, unfortunately. He still was right around, with that key was still right around 40 million. And then we put him in Draco's Relentless gear, actually, and still did about the same. So didn't really get as much run out of that as I thought we would. But here he's gonna be a little bit more different, because we are putting out the Leech, which we did not use on the Bat Eater. We actually disabled the Leech because it's not something you need when you're running Unkillable. But we'll see if that comes into play here on the Nightmare run where we don't have the Unkillable. See if that Leech is able to help these guys stay alive. Everybody here is in Lifesteal gear with the exception of Aox. I believe he's in a full set of, I think he's in Regen and Immortal from Faction Wars, because I never actually got around to gearing him for Clan Boss. I just kept him in his Faction War gear since it is pretty strong. And he does tend to survive pretty long anyways, even without the Lifesteal, so the Leech should help out a little bit there. But we're going to let this play out, and then we'll come back at the end and kind of talk about some final thoughts here. Alright guys, I think we're probably getting pretty close to the end here. I don't think Scabrius is going to survive too much longer, just given the amount of damage he's been taking from the Force boss. Yep, there he goes. These other three guys will probably survive for a little bit longer, but the one thing I was noticing very early in this run is the damage was not coming out anywhere near as close to the runs I did with either Frozen Banshee or Occult Brawler. We hit well over 20 million on both of those keys. I don't think this key is going to make it because we're only at 13 at turn 27, and we're going to start getting smacked really hard here. So I'm very disappointed, honestly, in this guy. Even with the decreased defense coming in from Rosin, it's like he just didn't seem to do much. We'll see here on the final screen when it totals up, but we're not even going to hit 15 million here, I don't think, which is pretty bad considering how good Frozen Banshee and Occult Brawler did there. But oh my goodness, he actually got out damaged by Rosin Scarhide here, which is pretty sad. 3.5 million. And again, keep in mind, I've invested 14 epic books in this guy. He's well over 100% crit rate. He's got poison going out. He's getting 20% extra damage from poisons already placed on the clan boss. And I know this is the negative affinity, but you look at what Frozen Banshee does against negative affinity, putting out 10 plus million. And that's actually pretty consistent for Frozen Banshee. I know because I use her on my free-to-play, even against Force Boss. This is pretty sad, honestly. This is kind of shockingly awful. So what I'm going to do here, I think, is I'm going to run another key just to see how it goes. And let me queue that up, and then I'll come right back at the end of that. Alright guys, we just finished up another key with him, and it's actually just as bad. Maybe even a little worse. He got outperformed on this one by Rosin and Aox, and Aox is supposed to be our secondary poisoner, not our primary poisoner, and he still did more damage than Scabrius. So very disappointing. I don't know if I have the screenshots. I have another clan boss video I'm working on too at the same time, but I actually would go out on a limb and say this guy might be worse than Yaga the Insatiable and worse than Outlaw Monk, even at the Nightmare level. So really rough. Like I said, it's tough because it's Force Affinity. I don't even know if you would do that well against the Spirit Affinity, to be honest with you. Given that Frozen Banshee, even as a rare Magic champion, was still able to do 10 plus million against the Force boss. I just don't see this guy performing very well in a clan boss capacity. So let's just jump back out here. Gotta get rid of my red dots at some point. So I don't know, guys. I'm a little disappointed because, like I said, I did go all out to get him, just because I thought he was going to be really good at clan boss. Seeing his kit initially, I was like, this guy's a clan boss champion. His kit just screams clan boss. Poison on the A1, weaken, attack up, doing the extra poison damage. The leech, he's got everything in the kit that sounds like he would be really solid, but so far, I've been testing him for about 3 days now, and I just don't see it, at least for the clan boss. I'm really not sure where you would use this guy other than that. For Skinwalkers, you've got much better options when it comes to the faction wars and things like that. So I'm just really not sure where I would even use this guy at this point. So I kind of feel like I really just wasted a lot of time building him. Now he's got a decent base attack. His defense is decent, base defense. So that's again why I was thinking, this guy'd be halfway decent for clan boss, but just the testing doesn't bear it out so far. I mean, a cool looking champion, part of the fusion, but I gotta be honest, if you guys were thinking about holding this guy and not doing the fusion, I would not. I think you're gonna get much better value, especially in clan boss poisoners out of even like Outlaw Monk is an uncommon, Frozen Banshee especially. So I would not rate him very high. And like I said, this is another reason you don't trust these in-game rating. I would not give him a 4.9 in clan boss. Or Faction Wars. I don't know. Maybe because of the leech, people like him in Faction Wars, but I don't know. You don't really... There's much better Skinwalkers to use in Faction Wars. So again, that's another reason you really don't pay much attention to those in-game rankings. Now, I'm sure if someone had the most amazing in-game crazy gear on him, he might perform better. But, again, I don't really tailor my content to those types of players. This is more, like I said, if you're coming up through the mid-game, if you're free-to-play, if you're thinking about investing in a guy like this. And that's actually the main reason this video was made, because I was thinking about maybe using this guy on my free-to-play account to come in for Frozen Banshee, since he had that extra damage on the poison debuffs. But I don't think it's worth it. I would not invest in this guy, and I'm kind of upset now that I pumped 14 books into this guy. Thankfully, we got clan versus clan points out of it. But now I'm going to basically lose all those resources if I do decide to do the fusion. And I also spent several hours in Minotaur grinding out all his masteries since I didn't want to spend 800 gems as well as the 14 books. So it's pretty rough. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. As always, if you have any questions about anything you saw here, please feel free to leave them down below, and I'll do my best to get you an answer as soon as I can. As always, I hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you again next time.